He stopped coming to my batch, and eventually our class timings became completely different. Since he was no longer staying back for extra classes, I barely saw him anymore. And slowly, I started forgetting about him. At least, that's what I thought. The truth is, I didn't really have strong feelings for him at that time. It was more like a small crush, a nice memory that I carried around without even realizing it. Then I entered 9th grade, and every now and then his face would randomly pop into my head. Not in an obsessive way, not every day, just once in a while. I would suddenly remember that moment at the gate. I would remember him smiling at me. And for some reason, I could still clearly picture that white t-shirt and black lowers. What's funny is that I barely knew anything about him. I didn't even know his name. I had never known his name. I didn't know where he was, what he was doing, or whether he still went to the same tuition. All I had were a few random memories. A smile, a gate, and that white t-shirt. Then 9th grade passed, and before I knew it, I was in 10th grade. Now, one thing about me is that I was always a very serious student. I'm not saying that just to praise myself. I genuinely was. Throughout 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, studies were my main focus. I worked hard, I enjoyed learning, and most of my energy went into academics. My life was actually pretty lonely during a large part of 8th and 9th grade. I didn't really have that close friend group that a lot of people talk about. But toward the end of 9th grade, that started to change. I became close friends with 2 girls, Yogita and Kushi. And when 10th grade began, the 3 of us became inseparable. We weren't just friends anymore, we were a trio. We shared everything, supported each other through everything, and created the kind of bond that felt unbreakable. So while other people around me were busy with crushes, relationships, and all that drama, I was mostly focused on my studies, my hobbies, and my 2 best friends. And somehow, hidden in a tiny corner of my mind, there was still this memory of a boy whose name I never even knew. Not because I was deeply in love with him, but because some memories stay with you long after the moment itself is gone. Now, by this point, I was in 10th grade. Life felt a little different now. I was growing up, becoming more responsible, and my daily routine had become much more structured than before. Along with my regular math tuition, I had also joined a science tuition. My schedule was actually pretty convenient. My science tuition was from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And right after that, I would go to my math tuition from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the best part was that both tuitions were in the same apartment building. My science tuition was on the 3rd floor, and my math tuition was on the 1st floor. So every evening, I would finish my science class, walk downstairs, and then head straight to my math tuition. At that point, I wasn't thinking about him at all. I was focused on my studies, my friends, and simply living my life. As far as I knew, he was just a random memory from years ago. A face I remembered, a smile I remembered, and a story that I thought had already ended. But life has a very funny habit of bringing people back when you least expect it.